Hello. Today we welcome Ryn Bonney to share her story on this 50th anniversary of Sid's enlightenment experience. So Ryn, thank you so much for being willing to share. Can you tell us a little bit about what life looked like before you had your first insight into the principles?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking. I'm just delighted to be here with you. So, I am someone who has had issues with mental illness and mental health for most of my life. And the way that I understood it was that there was something wrong with me. And that if I simply looked hard enough, right, did it right, that I would somehow find the answer to my problem, right? I'd fix myself and then I'd be okay. And then I would be worthy. And then my life would make sense. And then I could be happy. Like that was true. And that's what looked true. And I spent all of my life, right? All of my energy, all of my attention, everything that it's like all of my waking moments and my sleeping ones too, like on this quest as this seeker to try and find what it is that was missing. And I was given a beautiful education in various spiritual paths and practices and, studied anything that caught my attention that I thought might help make it better. But the anxiety and the depression and the just the real disturbance to my peace of mind. My lived experience was actually suicidal ideation. So I was obsessed with ending this experience of checking out. And it was this ultimate escape fantasy. And I have tried to commit suicide 5 times in my life. And I just couldn't die. Which sounds bizarre, but it's just the truth of it. So that's where I was coming from. That's how disturbed I was, right? Delusional and simply so unhappy in the human experience and so desperate for help, for relief, for clarity and understanding that I simply could find for, a millisecond here or a millisecond there. Or if I tried so very hard with all of my energy and all of my attention, I could focus on someone else's ideas of what it would take to make me happy. And it would work for a minute or two. But as soon as I stopped giving it my full attention, my reality would snap back to the creation of my own mind and the disturbance that I saw there.
What was your first insight?
Oh, my first insight was a beautiful feeling. And I was so desperate that I took my baby, right? My infant son, he was 4 months old. And we traveled all the way to Glasgow, Scotland, from the middle of America. It took us 24 hours. And I walked into this room, a bunch of Scots and English. And I listened to this man share this beautiful wisdom that he had learned. And what I heard him say is, what if the only thing wrong with you is the thought that there's something wrong? And my head heard it, but it landed in my heart. And my heart knew that it was true, like knew it. And in that moment, the entire experience just shifted because I was able to give up, right? If only for a moment, the crazy seeking that had consumed my life, that I needed to find something outside of me to fix me. But that the reality was I wasn't broken. It was simply the thought of brokenness that was causing all of this disruption.
It's so beautiful. I can feel that. How has your life changed and your practice changed since gaining a new understanding based on the three principles?
So the principles are a description of how life is experienced. Thought, mind, and consciousness are the gifts that were given to explore our humanity. And when I had that insight that I wasn't broken in need of fixing, suddenly all of my attention shifted from what I thought was required to heal my brokenness to simply learning to be present and accept what is. And having this beautiful exploration to really learn who and what I am, like to get to know me in a way that I could never have imagined as possible. That gift of insight, right? Our ability to have a shift in perception and see the world as it truly is, not the way that we make it up. That gift in itself, and that it can happen again and again and again in every moment of every day, that is available for us in our lived experience. That's what I know to be true about my life. And the impact that has means that I am never, ever a victim of the world I see. I am never stuck in my human experience. I am never more than a thought away from a beautiful feeling, joy, and contentment. So I'm able to go out into life, step into the arena, as a wise man once said, and actually like fully engage with the human experience for everything that it's worth, the highs and the lows and the joy and the sorrow and just the complete package of humanity, but from that beautiful place of grounded understanding, knowing the truth of who and what I am from that solid ground. And from there, the infinite potential, a creative force of the universe, right? God is so accessible, is so understood, that my human experience is something called the happy dream. It's just joyful.
And how do you see this understanding changing the field of mental health and our understanding of the human spirit beyond the gift that you've already are sharing just through your transformation?
So there's beautiful wisdom being shared by three principles coaches and teachers. And it's this idea of what we are and what we do with what we are. So I think Jack Pransky says all we are is love, peace, joy, and the ability to think that we're not. And it's so interesting what has been created in reality around what we think mental illness is, what we think it means to be suffering from those kinds of experiences, right? That we have thingified these labels and actually created them as real. Like, this is true. The understanding, at least for me and from my lived experience, is the recognition that a mental health disorder simply comes from misusing the gift of thought. So as this understanding is shared, right, as this explanation of how human minds create the human experience, when it becomes more accepted and more embraced in the mainstream, we will wake up to the idea that every human being is sitting in innate mental well-being. There is no such thing. It is simply a misunderstanding of the experience. And that by seeing each other as whole, perfect, and complete, and holding that space for one another, we are indeed pointing each other in the direction to wake up to the miracle that we are, to the truth of our own experience. That is what I saw for myself, right? Someone who was obsessed with checking out of the human experience because it was so painful, because my suffering was so intense, to wake up to the source of that suffering and recognize that it was always just me and my own thinking, and that I don't have to. It's an option, it's a choice. And when that freedom gets extended to every single human mind on the planet, there won't be anything called mental health, right? Like mental health issues will not be seen in that way. It will be a momentary disruption, but the clear and clear mind, right? The clarity of a clear mind will come in and say, but you're okay. Right? Come back. Let's look again. Tell me about what you're feeling. Tell me about what you're thinking. Tell me how you're creating this disruption inside of you as to what it is you think is wrong here. And let me point you in the direction of truth so that you can find it for yourself. Each one of us is that capacity for wholeness. And this understanding is the gateway, right? It's the direction, it's the roadmap, it's the instructions for how to find it for ourselves.
What a beautiful description of the inside out understanding from your personal experience out in the world. Thank you so much.